Good evening, everyone. My name is Gabrielle, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Money with Friends. Every Wednesday, we have an opportunity to come to you to talk about really relevant, timely, and pertinent information about money. Because on this show, we say money encompasses everything. Everything you want to know about life really involves money. So it's very important for us to cover as many topics that we know are important to you. So tonight's topic is very important to all of us because we all have had a job. It doesn't matter if this is your first time looking for a job as a new college grad, or even a child who's 17 or 16 looking for a first job, or someone who's looking for a 10th job. It's very important that you follow certain best practices. So on tonight's show, we have someone who has over 20 years of career coaching experience, and she's going to be sharing some really great best practices with you. On this show, we call Your Job Search Matters. Yes, your job search matters to us. It matters to you because we know how important having an income is. So without further ado, I would like to welcome my guest who's on the show, Leona Martin. I would like to give you an opportunity to quickly introduce yourself so that we can dive into this very important conversation about your job search matters.
Okay. And well, first of all, I want to say thank you, Gabrielle, for inviting me on the show. I'm so excited about being here. My name is Leona Martin, and I'm really very passionate about doing the career coaching. I'm a certified life coach and a career coach. I have multiple years of experience in human resources in the recruiting side, or on the recruiting side of HR. And I've just always been so very passionate about helping people not only obtain jobs, but to advance in their careers as well. So it's been, over the past 20 plus years or so, it's been my passion and just my love to be able to do this for people. And one of the reasons why I'll tell a little story. One of the reasons why I chose to really do this, and I'm so passionate about it, because I myself, there were so many things that I would have done differently in my career over the years. I used to be a little shy about trying to get promotions in advance because I never really knew quite how to do it. But also I would get comfortable in my roles and just love what I was doing, and had a great relationship with managers. And they, first of all, they didn't want me to leave because I was doing such a great job, but it kind of set me back because I wasn't advancing the way I wanted to, should have. So I want to help people not fall into that kind of trap, because there's a lot you can do and should do to make sure that you stay on track to get from point A to point B, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. And you say trap. We don't want to get trapped at a job. And also too, as I said, it doesn't matter if you're looking for your first job as a new person. There are best practices, things that you should be doing that will help you secure your success, because it's very important. We had a show here. We always have different shows, Leona, and we say success matters. So your success in your job search matters to us. And that's why it's very important that we talk about your job search matters today. So I know I've been in the job market. I've done that myself, looking for a job. I remember the very first time I had to look for a quote unquote professional job because that job required a resume. So what is the first step when searching for a job? What is the first thing you ought to be doing when you are getting ready to look for a job?
So the first step is, and there are a few things, but I would say the first step is to really make sure that you have a good resume. It should be clear, concise. It should explain the experiences that you've had. It doesn't need to be a book, but it should be concise, and it should be spell checked. I can't stress that enough. You do not want to submit a resume that has typos and errors in it, because guess what? We as recruiters, it takes us 2 to 3 minutes to read a resume. And if we find typos and grammatical errors, it could potentially go in the trash can.
Yeah,
And actually now that everything is electronic, it could potentially be deleted.
yeah, in the trash can too.
Yes, that's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
so
Yeah.
it's great that you said that, because I remember my very first resume, I felt like I wasn't equipped enough because I was very young to do it
Yeah.
on my own. So what I did, I'm forever grateful to that high school teacher. I went to her and I said, please, Miss Roberts, please help me with my resume, because I had this job that I really, really, really wanted, and I wanted to have a great impression with my resume, make a great impression. So would you suggest that someone hires like either a professional resume writer or ask a friend who is well equipped to help them?
Yeah, I would say that, first start with maybe a friend or colleague that can help you with that. Because for one thing is you could do a draft, but you really need to have extra sets of eyes.
Correct.
You need people to look it over, to give you feedback, and maybe help you reconstruct it, just to start there. But, some people feel more comfortable about getting a professional to do that. But, those are expensive and
Yeah,
everyone can't afford them. And
yeah.
oh, by the way, sometimes they're not the best, because you could spend a lot of money on a resume writer and get it back, and it kind of looks the same way you did when you gave it to them.
Oh yeah, it happened to me. Years later, of course, I was like, maybe I need a professional writer to help me out with my resume, because I was going for other higher positions. And of course, I went online. Most people now are looking for services online. I went online and I read the bio of this particular person. I was like, oh, great, sounds great. The reviews and everything. So I contacted him, paid the $500 fee to get my resume done. That's a lot. When you're looking for a job, $500 is a lot of money, but I did it. And then the next thing after they collected the fee was, oh, can I have a copy of your existing resume? And of course, I'm thinking, oh, maybe just to see my work history so that they could construct theirs according to my, Leona, I got the very same resume, and find out that the person that I had spoken to and paid the fee to wasn't even the one who did the resume for me. So again, going back to what you said, there are resources available, including your friend who studied English, right?
Yes, that's right. And let's not forget, and when people may not know this, but there are some really good templates out there that you can get online that will at least construct it for you and to get you going. And then you can, plug in your information and then get that friend or that colleague to look it over and to give you some feedback, because you really can do your own resume.
Correct.
And a lot of people do that,
Yeah.
and it works well for them.
You talked about the multiple sets of eyes. It's so important because when you are looking for a job and you go on, especially if you have a lot of stress because you are, running out of money, you're trying to get a job, somewhat desperate. Sometimes you're not taking straight and your eyes can be very blurry. You might be taking, I'm saying, I worked at a job, and then you have another word there. So any typo really will affect how prospective or potential employer sees you, right? So it's very important that you don't say, you know what, I know enough. I have my English degree. I don't need friends to help me. No, get a second set of eyes to help you, because it's very important. And we're even saying, like, if let's say you're an actor and you send out a picture and the picture is all blurry, how many talent agents you think are gonna be sitting there trying to decipher who this person is? No, they're just gonna take a look at the picture and just throw it in the garbage. Because you have to have a clear picture of what. So the resume is very important, and we are encouraging everyone to sit down and do a great resume. When you're doing your job search, that's your first entry to the company.
It
right?
really is. It really is. And you know what? I would also add, Gabrielle, the cover letter is important as well.
Correct.
You know, I tell people to do a standard cover letter, because I think that that is something, you know, you want to have kind of that general cover letter, and you
Mhm.
can tweak it based upon the job that you're applying to.
Correct.
Oh.
So to let them know a little bit more about you,
Yeah,
something
it's
that
kind of a
resume-
summary. Yeah,
Yeah.
the cover letter really is a summary. You don't want to repeat a lot of what's in the resume, but you kind of want to sum up, you know, what you've been doing, what you're looking for, and what you bring to the table.
Yeah, especially if you have a specific job in mind and you're going
Right.
for that specific job.
That's right.
So once you have that resume and you're ready to apply, applying with a company, what should you do? What should you do? I know what I've done in the past
Yeah.
that has made it very successful for me, but what should you do when you're ready now to venture out and say, I have my resume, I have my tool. Now
Mhm.
it's time for me to look for a job.
Yes.
Mhm.
Well, you need to create what I call a target list.
Mm,
And a target list is a list of potential organizations that you think you want to work for.
mhm.
Okay. Then you want to do your research, because you want to make sure that you understand and know what they do, what they stand for, because they will, well, we'll get into the interviews later, but you just want to really do your research on these organizations, because you may come up with some companies, but once you see and look into what they really do and what they stand for, you may not be interested anymore.
Correct.
So you want to do your research so that you know something and a
Yeah.
little bit about them.
And some of the ways to do research is to maybe network with industry
Yes.
folks in the LinkedIn, for example,
Mhm.
LinkedIn and other company websites.
Yes.
How should you use those resources?
You know, I always would recommend that, you know, based on the job it is that you're
Mhm.
interested in, if you're on LinkedIn, look up people that are in those specific jobs.
Mm,
And look to see what it is they do. Look at their profile and see what it is that they do. If you're interested in that job, and think about, well, gee, do I really want to do that? Do I want to do a little more of this or that? Or does that sound like my ideal job? But then, you know, the big piece is link in with people who are in like-minded jobs.
correct.
People tend to be a little afraid to linking into people that they don't know, or just to ask for a request to, you know, be on their within their LinkedIn community. But trust me, people love that.
Correct.
You know, I have made so many contacts that way, but LinkedIn is a great way to really research companies and to link in with like-minded individuals who are doing jobs that you potentially may want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
I remember the days where I used to go on the website, literally studying
Mm,
what the company was all about, studying
Yes.
because I wanted to be equipped and well
Yes.
prepared.
Right.
Because there's a reason why you go online to do the research.
Right.
And I would look for current events, things that
Right.
are happening with the company currently, history, the history of the company, and things
Mm.
like that. So why?
And what do they stand for? You know,
Exactly.
what are they socially responsible? You
Correct.
know, what is it that they do for their community? Are they somebody who reaches out? Do they do work around community outreach, if that's important to you?
Yeah.
You
So
know?
you want to know, it's almost like you're going to meet with somebody. You don't want to go blindly. You want to
Right.
have an idea. The reason for that, because it makes for a better conversation, right?
It does.
Because
And Gabrielle, guess what?
uh-huh.
Lots of times, because we used to do this when I was at one of my places, we want to know, what do you know about us?
Yeah. So that's my next question. You know,
Yeah.
like when you go for that interview, of course they're gonna be asking you questions. So
Mhm.
one of your questions will be, what do you know? What are some of the top 3 most important questions that you notice as a HR person that employers would be asking? And also, what are some of the 3 top questions that you, as
Yeah.
the prospective employee, you know, the
Okay.
interviewee should be asking.
Yeah. So number one question. So tell me about yourself.
Mhm.
That you will almost always get that question. And it doesn't mean they want to know about your family history,
Mhm.
because people tend to want to do that. Tell me about yourself. Really, really relates to, what you've done, where you are in your career, and most importantly, what are you going to do for them?
Hmm.
How do your skills and experience move them forward? Because it really is all about them. It's all
Correct.
about us too, but it's more about them because you want to get that job.
Mhm.
So I would say that's number one question. The other question that comes up is, why do you think we should hire you for this job?
Wow. That's a
So
really,
you really need to be prepared to speak to that in the sense that, okay, I bring A, B, and C to the table here, and this is what I can do for you,
yeah.
you
So
know?
going back again to the second question of like researching, knowing
Mhm,
exactly what the company is all about so that you can
mhm.
craft your answers
Yes,
according, not that you're lying, but you want to make sure that you're delivering the right answer so that you'll have a better opportunity to
mhm.
get hired, right?
Right, that's right,
Yeah.
that's right.
So, and
Absolutely.
what are some of the other questions that a prospective employer or potential employer
Might ask. They may
yeah.
also, oh, you know what, another good one is, so tell me about your greatest strength.
Hmm.
And just think real carefully about that because you probably have multiple ones.
Correct. Yeah.
But what is one that you really want to get across to them? And
Mhm.
and if you've read the job description and understand it, you'll have an answer prepared for that question because it should relate to what they're looking for.
Yeah, but I've also seen people throwing you off, like interviewers throwing you off by asking you, what is your greatest weakness?
Weakness, yes. And so that's not such a bad question
Yeah.
because the way you approach that is you can say something like, well, I'm not really good with creating spreadsheets.
Hmm.
However, I've been practicing a lot. I've been doing them in my personal life. So I've been gaining experience, practicing, and I feel like I'm growing and getting better. And the more I do them, the more comfortable I feel with them. So I feel like I've made progress.
Yeah.
You
So
have
I
to turn it
remember,
around into a positive.
yeah, definitely you have to, because you
Mm.
cannot say, well, I'm a loud person. And nobody wants a loud person at the job.
Right,
So all of a
right.
sudden or you could say, you know what, I noticed that for many years I used to speak a little too loud, but I've
Mm.
managed, especially you
Mhm.
lower your voice. You lower
Right.
your voice. So all of a sudden they say, oh, she's making progress.
Right,
And your personality too will come through as you do
right,
your
right.
interview. But we talked about the three P's of what are the three P's, and also in terms of
Oh.
like going by still with the interviewing questions, like what should you
Mm.
ask? Because again, you
Mm.
you have your resume, now you at the door, you there in front of an interviewer because you've done your
Mm.
research and you have applied and you've been blessed enough to have received a call to say come
Mhm.
for an interview.
Mhm.
It's not, and at this step, at this level, they're asking you questions. Should you, the three P's, come ready with your
Yes,
own
yes.
questions so that then
So, okay, so first and foremost for me, the three P's are prepare, prepare, and prepare.
huh? Okay.
You've got to be ready. You need to be able to answer things as they come up. Yes, you can think a few minutes about how you're going to answer, but the more you prepare, the more comfortable you are,
Yeah.
you know.
So do you suggest that somebody who's looking for a job, like for example, I said I always looked online, the website, to see some of the
Mhm.
current events. Should one of the questions should be about something that they're doing in the community, if that's important to you, or current news, a news that just came out about that company, that showing that, oh, this person is watching the news, listening to the news,
Yes,
seeing the news.
yes.
Should that be one of the questions you ask, a question relating to that?
That could come up later, But,
Mhm.
you know, I would say some of the questions that I would want to know first is, so what is it in this organization that you do to help your employees grow and develop?
Yeah, very
I
important.
think that's critical.
Yeah,
Also, what are the skills do you feel that a person in this role needs to focus on? Or what is it? What are the skills that you're looking for, the ideal skills for the person you're going to hire for this job?
yeah.
You
So
know?
basically, I'm thinking if you're going for marketing, you ought to
Mhm.
have a question regarding maybe the marketing department or the work that the marketing department. So we can say for companies, the
Mhm.
huge company with multiple different departments, if I'm
Right.
going for finance, I don't think necessarily you could ask for it if you have time, but your focus should be on the department that you're going to work for.
Oh,
Not like
absolutely.
not like delivery, and
Right.
I'm in
Right.
marketing, you know what I mean? They want
Mhm.
to know you've done your research, not only about the company,
Right.
but your department, and also you mentioned like your promotion, your advancement opportunities or
Yes.
within the
Yes.
company. Yeah.
Yeah. Because so
Why is it important to have that question about advancement? Is it because they want to know this person is not here for a season? They're probably gonna think about long term, right? Long term
right.
career. Yeah.
Right, right. And they just need to, you know, employers are really looking for people that are going to commit to being there for a little while. You
Correct.
know, they don't want to hire people that are going to come for 6 months, get some experience and leave.
Correct.
You know, they really want somebody who's invested in the company, you know, who wants to grow with you. And oh, by the way, they have some great skills to offer you
Yeah.
to take your department and your organization to the next level.
Yeah, it looks like searching for a job, applying for a job, and interviewing for a job is almost like dating, right? You
Yeah,
gotta make sure that this
yeah,
person is in for the long run.
that's
You don't want to
right.
have someone who doesn't take the time to get to know you. Because
Right.
they get to the research that you do and that you getting to know
Mhm.
the employee,
Right,
you getting to know the employer,
right,
and also them getting to know you by asking you
right,
questions. It's very
right,
important that you do that. But
right,
the type of questions that you ask really will make a difference too. Because you
right.
don't want to have
Absolutely.
ask trivial stuff like what's the
Mhm.
latest news? You know, you don't want to do that. You
Right,
want
right,
to
right.
have a grounded assessment of the
Hmm.
company so that they know you are
Right.
interested and they're interested.
And
That's
they're
why,
interested in you.
yeah.
So if you're going into a marketing department, if it's a marketing specialist or something like that, you would probably want to ask, so what are the goals of your department?
Hmm.
What are some of the things that you're proud of that your department has accomplished?
Hmm.
Um, what are some of the goals? What have you done that you're proud of? Where do you see the department going in the next 2 years? You know, things like that. That
Yeah.
shows that you're interested and you're engaging, you
Yeah.
know, for that matter.
It's very important.
Mhm.
It's very important because once you get to that point and they like you and they want to have a long-term relationship, they
Mm.
decided to offer you a job.
Yeah,
So the
yeah,
job search, your job search matters. That's the topic of tonight's
yeah,
conversation. And we
yeah.
say on Let's Talk Money with Friends that money
Hmm.
encompasses everything. And we
Right,
believe that the way you search for a job will definitely make a difference in your
right.
whether you're successful or not. And so
Hmm.
on tonight's show, we have Leona Martin. She's been in the industry for a long time as a career coach, HR
Hmm.
person. You know, she has hired people and perhaps even fired people and seen
Hmm.
a million resumes over the
Yeah.
lifetime. You know, I'm being
Mhm.
maybe exaggerating, but a many resumes, right?
A
So
lot.
therefore, you have extensive experience and you can really help somebody who's right now, perhaps
Hmm.
in transition, looking for a new job because they're tired of where they're at right now, or someone who's looking for their
Hmm.
first job, a young person who's
Yes.
going to be watching this now or in the future, because this is recorded and we believe
Hmm.
that someday it might be useful to somebody. So
Right.
without further ado, I would like to ask, you've been offered a job. Been offered a job and now ready to negotiate your compensation, because last week
Mm.
we said that how important it is to ask for the maximum compensation.
Yes.
What are your thoughts about that?
Oh gosh, yes. Shoot high. Shoot for the stars. Shoot for the stars because you know what? your salary, your compensation, a lot of it is about negotiation. You know, start at the very top. You know, even if they can't get there, you know, maybe they can get close to where you'd like to be. But the one piece of advice I would like to give people is that never, ever lowball yourself.
Correct.
You know, ask for the max. You know, you may not get it, but you can't say that you didn't try, because
Correct.
guess what? If you take a low salary and you get in that job, you're going to be miserable because you're going to wish that you had asked for the higher salary. Because guess what? You'll probably meet people in the organization who are getting paid more than you are.
Correct.
And you're doing similar jobs, although they discourage people from discussing what their salaries are. But we all know people do it.
Yeah, and also too, like again, going back to doing your research and doing your homework, knowing that what is the salary bracket for your industry.
Yes. Right.
And again, networking with someone within the industry, a friend, and being part of what we talked about, you know, industry events like a conference and different things like that. You get to meet people, and then you are able to ask them, you know, how long you been here? What are some of your experience? And then you have an idea as to how much you should be asking.
Yeah.
You can go blindly. You have to have an idea. Part of the reason is because as we were talking about the wage disparity between the women, men, and minorities. You want to talk a little bit about that? Why when you do your job search that you're really aware of that?
Right. Because I mean, and I'll just go back a minute. You absolutely must research what the job pays. And it can vary by industry. It can vary by location, region you're in. But if you live in Boston and you're going for, I don't know, a nursing job, you need to look at and see what is the average salary for a nurse in a Boston, maybe major teaching hospital. You need to check that so that you can go in and negotiate. Although I will say though, if you're working in or going to work in a hospital where they have a union, that can be a little bit challenging because they have set rates, but trust me, lots of times you can even negotiate those rates.
Correct. If not your rates as in the wage, the income, but like vacation, sick days.
Yes.
I remember talking to someone and I said, you know, how many vacations days you had before with your prior employer? She's like, oh, I had 6 weeks vacation.
Wow.
And I'm like, what do you have now? Oh, I only have 3. And I'm like, why? She's like, that's all they offered. And I was like, no, but did you try to negotiate? Letting them know that you come in from 6 weeks.
Right.
Can you adjust? I mean, I'm not saying it's always going to happen, but you know, other perks, like even we talked about compensation last week, and we didn't really get into comprehensively what are all the different ways that you get compensated.
Right.
But retirement, stock option, you know, we talked about not being desperate so that you don't lowball yourself. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, you know, when you talk compensation packages, that can encompass a lot. So not only does it speak to the salary that you're getting, but it could be, like you said, 401k, your vacation, your sick time, whatever other perks that they offer. So you have to take in consideration all of those things because, you know, vacation and sick time is important to people. And, you know, if you could, and if you decide you want to take a lower salary, then I would hope that you're getting some top-notch benefits. You know, there's got to be something, you know, like I said, it's all about them, but when it comes down to the salary, it's all about you. You know, so you want a good compensation package.
Yeah, because usually the budget is there, but if you don't ask for it, you're not gonna get it. Unfortunately, most people are not generous enough to say, oh, you know, she's had 20 years of experience and blah, blah, blah. Let me give her the max. No, you have to ask for the max. And, you know, in terms of like that being desperate, when should you know, like sometimes in life, you are facing a situation, whether it is a negotiation or you are facing with negotiation, whether it's a work-related or another situation, business negotiation. you
Mhm.
might have to walk away. What
Yes,
do you say about that? You
yeah.
really like the company, you have everything, but why
Mm.
would you want to walk away when the compensation or whatever you're being offered is not right?
Yeah, because you know what? If you have to fight that hard for the compensation that you want, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
And walking away is okay because I always say maybe that just wasn't the right job for you
Mhm.
because there will be other opportunities out there. And I can't stress enough, Gabrielle, you need to get paid your worth.
Correct.
Do not settle because you'll be miserable if you do that. You can get paid today what it is that you're worth and what it is that you want. And walking away, people do it all the time, trust me.
Yeah.
They will wait and they know that they're going to be able to find that ideal job that's going to pay them what they want and what they're worth.
Yeah.
So
I remember earlier you mentioned being miserable.
Mhm.
Going back again to what I said, like, looking for a job is like
Like dating.
dating,
Yeah.
courting, you finding about the person, they're finding about you, that's the company in you. And
Mhm.
once you've decided like, oh, they might be interested, they're interested, that's when you have to put your foot down and say, this is what I'm willing to take
Mhm.
and not take. Because
Right.
just like with a dating situation, now you've been with
Mhm.
this guy for a while, or you negotiating, or
Right.
girl,
Right.
what do you want out of that situation? If it's not gonna work for you, you
Mhm.
really don't want to get into
Yeah.
that environment, because you are gonna be miserable.
Right. Right.
Big time. Big
And
time.
you know what, Gabrielle, if I can add one more thing there is organizations, if they really want you, I mean, I get it and I know that they're working with a budget, but I've seen it. I'm an HR person. I've seen it. If they really want you, they will find the money to pay you what you want,
Correct. Yeah.
you
Just
know?
like dating. If the guy wants you, he'll
Yeah,
find the money to buy the ring.
that's
Up
right.
and down, people will make sacrifices and they're pushed through. I'm not saying like you push so hard that
Mhm.
you give no room for no
Yeah,
breathing room for somebody.
right.
But you have to know at least what's the minimum that you can handle. And that minimum is your maximum. And
Mhm.
if they're not willing, you have to walk away. Why?
Yeah,
Because again, going back to you being happy, because after you got in, after you in, now you have to play again. A few weeks ago we talked about office politics. Does
mm,
your effort
mm,
stop when you are hired, in terms of like your promotion and building a relationship and building your career within the
yeah.
company?
Yeah, once you get into a job, if especially if you really enjoy it and you can see the potential, office politics can be ugly.
Yeah.
But you have to learn how to play the ropes.
Yeah.
And you have to understand what it takes to, you're there obviously to do a job, but
Mhm.
you also need to figure out how am I going to survive in this environment?
Mhm.
And for the most part, the organization that you work in is probably going to be a good fit if you've taken the right job.
Correct.
But you should constantly be trying to learn more,
Mm.
partner with your supervisor or manager. And if you're getting bored with something, let them know. If you want to do more, let them know. So you should always be investing in your growth and development.
Yeah.
And the hope is that your manager will be helping you with that.
Yeah.
Um,
I remember earlier you said that the reason why you got into this industry of career coaching is because you were too good. At one point, you were too good. When you are too good at your job, sometimes it can become a problem, because promotions and all other opportunity for growth, it can be limited because
mm,
of the fact that your manager seeing you as being so good at your job, they don't want you to
they
leave.
want to keep you.
They want to keep you. So and also networking. So we talk about the office politics as, it's a
Mhm.
good thing. You find ways to become visible, so that
Yes.
other people can
Yeah.
see what you're doing,
Mhm,
not just
mhm.
your manager, because the
Right.
manager might be so happy they don't want you to move up. And
And
also,
stay away from the negativity.
yeah, yeah,
Don't get caught up in the negative stuff because
mm,
it happens. You should be focused on how do I grow and develop here. I don't want to get involved in that stuff
yeah,
that's going to keep me down.
yeah. So go and develop, not only perhaps to stay within the company, but also to expand and
Hmm.
spread your
Hmm.
wings,
Yes,
and perhaps go to another opportunity after a few 5 years. So
right.
you can improve
Hmm.
yourself
Right.
financially, because when
And
sometimes when you change jobs again, the cycle of job search, it seems ever ending, because
it
most people,
is.
I mean, like, there was a time, right, Leona, that
Mhm.
people used to go in after college and they stay for 40 years and they're retired. Nowadays, it doesn't
Mm.
happen anymore, right?
It may be 1 year, it may be 2 years.
Yeah.
And I can remember when I first got into recruiting and would be reviewing resumes. Well, not when I first, I probably within the last 10 years or so, when I was a recruiter, if I would see people that were in a job for 20, 25 years, I would think, oh gosh, they're the right people. I want to bring them in for an interview. And it was okay for a while, but then also what we found out and discovered is that many of those people were so set in their ways that if we hired them, they weren't really open to change,
Change, yeah.
but and now it's acceptable to be in a job for 2 years and
Hmm.
move on
And move
because
on.
that's kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah.
That's the space we're in. People are always looking to grow and develop, whether it be a new job, a promotional opportunity, a new organization, a new industry. So that's normal now,
Yeah.
to
And
move around.
and I know, going back again to relationship, divorce happens. You go to the job and you're excited. You thought, oh,
Right.
ideal company and I'm ready.
Hmm.
And then you find out that the culture of the
Mm. Hmm.
organization, so the office politics and all that, it's not the
Yeah.
healthiest.
Right.
So the last question before we hang up here, I would like to talk about, how important it is for you, because we on this show we say money encompasses everything. We say your health is your wealth.
Mm. Mm.
Yes, we talked about compensation, having that money, career opportunity for advancements. But how important it is. The reason I think we were talking about it offline. I have a family member who left a job thinking that, whew, I'm leaving this behind, and got another job, happy about the income and everything.
Hmm.
But my gosh, the stress, working
Mm.
long hours, the
Yeah.
working life balance doesn't exist.
Right.
So
Right.
how important is your health when it comes to work and
Yeah.
environment and the stress? And we talked about how you can get sick from
Yeah.
this. So
Yeah. You
talk a little bit
and
about that.
yeah. And you know what? If you're in a job and you are stressed when you go in, you're stressed when you're not there thinking about it. It's the weekend. You can't even enjoy your weekend because you're stressed about going back on Monday. That is not good for your health.
Mm,
So going back to your health is your wealth. So, wealth is more than money. Your
mm,
health, if your health is not good, it's
mhm.
not good for you. And you can't be in a job where you're going to be stressed constantly. I
Correct.
definitely, hope that people realize that. And if you're that stressed, you got to do something about it. You can't stay there. Please don't stay there because it doesn't get any better.
Yeah.
And ultimately sometimes what can happen is that you're so stressed out that you can have outbursts,
Mm,
and you might get angry with a coworker, you might get angry with your supervisor and just have an outburst. And then God forbid, you don't want to get fired
correct.
because you're already stressed enough,
Yeah.
and firing somebody just kind of puts them over the edge. But yeah, your health really is your wealth, and you want to be happy, you want to be satisfied, and you never want to be that person that, okay, it's just a job. You show
Yeah.
up every day, you do your job, you go home and you say, well, I got to get that paycheck.
Yeah.
That's no way to live your life.
Yeah. It's so important because if there are resources, some companies will recognize that it can be very stressful. The environment can be so
Mhm.
stressful. They have resources like, God knows, I've been in companies where they had resources for your mental health. Like they had
Mhm.
psychologists,
Oh, yes.
psychiatrists on call for you to call, or they
Yeah.
had a communication management. Communication is so
Mhm.
important. They had a
Right.
management structure where you felt comfortable enough to go in and say, could I have a conversation with your manager and talk about the environment? And that management, because of the culture of the organization, that they're going to do something about the stress level. But if you are in an environment and you could tell that nobody's listening to no one is listening to anybody,
Mhm.
and that the culture is do, I don't care, you work until you're dead, and
Mm.
there's really no space for you to have an enjoyable
Mhm.
career. I
Mhm.
think it's very important to really count your costs, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what, if I may, Gabriel, I want to go back real quick. I know we're running out of time, but I don't want to discount the fact that if somebody has 40 years of experience, that they're not somebody that you want to hire. I
Mhm.
just use that example because we did sometimes, hire people that had a lot of years and they weren't always a good fit. But I will say that if you get people in to your organization that have a lot of experience, they really do bring a lot of knowledge, skill, and respect to the job that they go into. So I don't want people to feel like, because you've been in a job for that long, that you're not a good fit. You
Yeah,
definitely can be a good fit.
yeah.
The point I was trying to make was that it's okay to see people who've worked 1 or 2 years at places and have moved around, because at one time that wasn't a good impression.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
also think that even if you've been within a company for 40 years, you needed to have had multiple positions, multiple
Yes.
station
Yeah.
with the company. Because
Right.
if you start at that one desk for 40 years, I
Mm.
think it's indicative that something is not right.
Right. That's
It
right.
is.
That's
So
right.
it's very
But
important
if you've
because
moved up
if
and
you started
around,
at 20,
yeah.
now you're 50, and now
Right.
you're a senior manager, listen, they're calling you for a job.
Yes.
You're not even
Yes.
calling anymore for a job.
That's right.
So,
That's
but
right.
if you started at 20, and I remember years ago, I worked in a banking job, and this person came in at 18, at the time I was 21, so I thought 36 was old. But she came in at 18, 36, she was 36, 18 years later, she was
Mm.
doing the same teller job.
Ah,
And I think that position, and then they become very resentful when new people come in.
right.
Again, that's the
Right.
office politics and
Right.
trying to maneuver
Right.
and manage their way
Right.
to the top of the company.
Right.
So
But they
yeah,
don't do anything to advance themselves, but they
correct.
complain when they see it happening.
Correct. So
Yeah.
going back again to what I said, that
Uh-huh.
we talked about, office politics, your job search does not stop when you get that job. You have to
Mhm.
continue to make the effort to
Yeah.
perform and do your job, but
Right.
also to be visible within the company
Right.
so
That's
that,
huge.
yeah,
Yeah.
visible so that you can get promoted and you
Mhm.
can hold multiple different positions. Not only
Mhm.
is it gonna help you, hone your skills and get multiple, better skills, but also
Mhm.
to income.
Right.
Your income
Right.
will go up as you
Mhm.
get promoted.
Right.
So, I mean, I just want to say employment search, it can be very daunting,
Yes.
very hard, and everybody is
Yeah.
nervous about that, especially when you've been out of work for a long time or
I
this is your
know.
first job. It can be very daunting. So it's very important to ask for your warm contacts, people that you know in your environment, your
Mhm.
warm leads, to ask them for referrals and support with
Mhm.
your resume. Make
Yes.
sure it's done properly. Do your research. That's what we're talking
Yes.
about tonight. Do your
That's
research.
huge.
Look for the best practices and
Mhm.
come prepared. Preparation,
Mhm.
preparation, preparation.
Yes.
Those
Yes.
are the 3 P's. With
Yes.
interview and questions that you can help. And
Mhm.
the more you know, the more confident you'll be. The
Mhm.
more you know, the more
Right.
confident, because your
Right.
employment search matters. What is one last word so that we can say goodbye tonight?
Yes. I would say that it's not so much what you know, it's who you know.
Oh,
So
yeah,
you're,
that's what too.
yes, so
Who you
your
know matters.
networking, yes, your networking is huge.
Yeah.
You've got to do that networking because there are people out there that are ready and willing to help you in your career advancement or just in you getting a job. But you can't be afraid to network with people,
Yeah.
you know.
And that's
It's
what
okay if you don't know them, but get to know them, introduce yourself, you know.
And that's with everything. So we would like to know more of your friends. That's why we do this show, Let's Talk Money with Friends.
Yes.
And I know that we provide really pertinent, relevant and timely information such as this topic tonight. But if you're not sharing that with your friends, they're not gonna know about
Right.
this show, and they're not gonna know the steps, the best practices that we just mentioned tonight.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
my encouragement to you and my ask for you tonight is for you to share, tag, make a comment, like the page, let your friends know that every Wednesday that this show, Let's Talk Money with Friends, is here to help them and support them. Please do not keep us a secret. We don't want to be a secret. We want you to widely spread out the good news of Let's Talk Money with Friends with your friends. We just want to say thank you again, Leonard Martin, for being on the show. I was elated when you could actually, I met you via the show. So my friendship, my circle is growing because of the show.
Yeah.
You saw the show, you saw one of the shows, and you're like, "Oh, Gabrielle, I would love to come on."
Yeah.
Because that's my experience
Yeah.
as a career coach. So if you are someone who's watching and you would like to be on this show, Gabrielle loves to make friends. So please call me, text me, email me, whatever. I'll reach back to you and talk. Next week we have a group of ladies and actually one gentleman who's gonna be on the show. We're gonna talk about a very important topic as we end in the year and enter in the new year. And next year, I have a gentleman who's a financial expert professional gonna be doing monthly shows with me about money and specific products, because we talk about money, but specific financial products that he wants to cover so that you can know about stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and retirement planning, annuities, all that stuff. Again, we said that it's so important to have a plan, and we want you to help you with your plan. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. It was great being here. And you just said another word that triggered something. When you're doing your job search, you must have a plan.
Correct.
You must have a plan, and you must keep a journal as you travel through that career searching journey.
Yeah. Don't get discouraged. It's gonna work out.
It will.
It will work out for you. And that if you do enough, you're gonna get, hard work and tenacity really will pay off. So thank you again for your time. Please tag, share, and make a comment. We'll see you next week on another episode of Let's Talk Money with Friends. I would like to.
Okay. This was great. Thank you for having me, Gabrielle, on the show. I'm so excited about being here.
Yes.
And
let me go off. Episode of Let's Talk Money with Friends.
Okay.